Hi, everyone. My name is Cecilia. I am the tutor coaching project lead here at the Catherine McCauley Center.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sabrina Anderson. I'm the Volunteer and Outreach Manager here at CMC. Thank you for joining us for the growth mindset training we're about to do. Cecilia, if you want to go ahead and start.
Yes, so before we get started, we're just gonna do just a quick activity. So just take a deep breath in and out. First thing is, I want you to think or look for five things you can see. Five things you can see. Four things you can touch. Three things you can hear. Two things you can smell. One thing you can taste. All right.
Okay, so this is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding technique. When we overthink and ruminate and stress, we are out of the moment. We chew on thoughts of the past to entertain possibilities of the future. We think about what if and run our minds ragged on memories, ideas, probabilities, wishes, and fears. If we can pull conscious awareness back into the present, we can halt some of this overthinking. We can do this by checking the five senses with this quick and easy exercise. So we're moving from mindfulness into mindset. We hope that using this or other grounding techniques will help you refocus your energy and clear away anxiety from the day. Thank you for practicing mindfulness.
All right. So, what is a mindset to begin with? So, our mindset is made up of our beliefs, ideas, and attitudes. Thinking about our mindset can help us when we do things, especially when we face a challenge. So, this could be, so there's two different mindsets actually, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. So, Sabrina, I'll let you go ahead and go to the next one.
All right. So the fixed mindset. The fixed mindset is the belief that people are born with a fixed amount of intelligence and ability. People operating on the fixed mindset are prone to avoiding challenges and failures, thereby robbing themselves of a rich life in experience and learning.
Mhm. All right. So, here's a quick activity. I want you to imagine as vividly as you can. You're teaching a 5 p.m. conversation class you've been running on Mondays for about a month. The past few sessions have been rough. Your students range from complete beginners to slightly more advanced English speakers. You hand out the conversation sheets and start the activities, but many students stay quiet, occasionally glancing at you or focusing on their papers. Silence often fills the room after your questions, and when they do respond, it's slow and hesitant. Each activity takes longer than expected. By the end of class, you gather the materials and sit back, letting the quiet linger as you watch the students pack up. So then my question to you is, how would you feel? What would you think? And what would you do? Go ahead, Sabrina.
I would probably feel like I've wasted my time,
Mhm.
that that I shouldn't be teaching this class, that I'm in over my head. Um, and what I might do is maybe give up or find someone who knows what they're doing better than I do.
That I agree with. So that scenario was actually about me. I teach a conversation class on Thursdays at 6 p.m. And the class is going better now. I've learned a little bit more about growth mindset and what that looks like. And so um, How I feel, I felt discouraged by silence. I felt embarrassed losing control because I felt like no one was really paying attention what I thought. I thought they should speak if they want to learn, right? Or that I'm not good at this class and someone else should take over, perhaps. And what I do, lower expectations, focusing on surviving the hour, or I talk more to feel that silence. Definitely talk more to feel that silence. So that's the fixed mindset of exactly how I felt. And then now we're going to jump into a different kind of mindset, and you can go ahead. You want to read that one, or should I?
Sure.
All right.
Growth mindset is the belief that with practice, perseverance, and effort, people have limitless potential to learn and grow. People operating in the growth mindset take on challenges with the understanding that making mistakes and failing are essential to growth.
Mm-hmm. Definitely correct. And so rethink. Here's that same scenario. Again, read over it, and then I want you to think of how you would feel, what you would think, and what would you do? Now, this time, I want you to think specifically on the growth mindset perspective. And I'm going to have Sabrina go back to that growth mindset
Mm-hmm.
so we can see what it is one more time. All right. And then I'm going to have Sabrina continue.
Mm-hmm.
And then one more time. There we go. So, growth mindset. Now, how I feel in a growth mindset. I feel curious about why they're quiet. Why are they quiet? Maybe, maybe it's late. Maybe they're listening. Maybe they just can't hear me or something. I feel motivated to try new techniques. Okay, today this didn't work. What can I do next week or the week after that? And then what I think silence is feedback, not failure at all. And small participation is progress, right? Even if I have two people talking or I have three people talking, that's still something, right? And what I do, I reflect after class on what works and what didn't work. Or I use pair work to ease pressure, right? Instead of feeling like, oh, I need to fill the silence, but I'd say, hey, why don't you three work on this? And why don't you three work on this? And maybe they just need that. And another thing I would also think about is the cultural difference too, right? Maybe I used to a classroom where students have to talk back and they have to say something, and there has to be a conversation. Whereas for the students, it's more so actually I'm used to the teacher talking and doing most of the activities and doing all these things, and I just sit back and learn. So these are things that I would also think about that would put me in that growth mindset. It's not my fault. It's not anything I'm doing. I just need to see, okay, what can I change? Do I need to ask students more questions? What do I need to find out more? What do I need to find out more about them?
Absolutely.
Mhm. And then here's a quote from Carol Dweck from the book, which I apologize I do not have right now with me. I actually do have it with me. This is the book, and we're gonna. Oh, sorry, but we're gonna add it. We're gonna add it. So the quote is just by knowing the two mindsets, you can start thinking and reacting in new ways. So, in other words, is that we just told you about the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. So, the fact that you even know about it, this is gonna help you start thinking and reacting in new ways. So, when you do encounter a fixed mindset, you can say, oh my gosh, wait, let me think of this differently. Let me actually jump into my growth mindset perspective of things.
We've actually had a couple of tutors that have told us that because of taking this training, that when they are kind of thrust into a difficult situation, they take a step back and think of it more from a growth mindset perspective that they hadn't really thought about before.
Mhm.
Okay, now we're going to do a responding to fixed mindset triggers activity. So if you want to do this at home, if you just want to do it in your mind, whatever you want to do, find a buddy. You'll just need a pencil and a few note cards. Essentially, what I would like you to do is write down a fixed mindset you have about maybe working with a student or working in a classroom, and how that impacts you. What is a fixed mindset that you have that's more intrusive? That's something that you think about regularly.
Mm-hmm. And then we can also go to the next
Mm-hmm.
page.
So here's our fixed mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Give you a couple minutes to do that. And I do actually have a couple of fixed mindsets written down here as well. So in about a minute or so, I'll read some of those. Okay, here is one of our fixed mindsets. Now, these are from some of our staff members that have done the training as well. I am too disorganized to return to teaching. I'm bad at dealing with confrontation or taking control in uncomfortable situations, so I probably should not be in any leadership position. And then another one, I feel I can't teach certain classes because I don't have experience teaching it.
Mm-hmm.
And now what I want you to do on the back of the paper or with a buddy, write down a growth mindset version of that. When we do this training in a classroom, we typically have others join in with a fixed mindset and kind of reconfigure what a growth mindset would be of that fixed mindset. So the first one that we talked about, the I am too disorganized to return to teaching, the growth mindset version of that would be I struggle with disorganization, but I have coworkers who are coaching me and support to help.
Mm-hmm.
The fixed mindset, I'm bad with dealing with confrontation or taking control in uncomfortable situations. So I probably should not be in any leadership position. Conflict is a skill that can be learned.
Mm.
Leadership's not limited to confrontation or taking control. I'm a strong collaborator and a good listener, and it's okay to not always be comfortable. And I feel I can't teach certain classes because I don't have experience teaching it. I can be trained on how to teach, which is exactly what we do with our volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Good job, everybody. All right,
All
Cecilia.
right. Yes. So this is a tutor focused examples of fixed versus growth mindset. So I'll just do a few here. So fixed. I feel confident when my student understands everything the first time. Now you may ask yourself, okay, what's wrong with being confident? And so here's the growth mindset for that. You can say, I feel confident when I try pictures, gestures, or examples until my student understands. And so, by feeling confident when your student understands everything the first time, that's the problem, right? So, because you put yourself in a fixed mindset of it's either I get it or I don't, it's either they know it or they don't. And you don't want to feel that way. The first time, not everyone is going to get something, the first time. So you have to try different things. And so you feel confident when you try pictures, even if it takes you, a few weeks or something, when you use gestures and when you use examples. So especially for our new tutors, when you feel like, oh my gosh, they're just not understanding me, they're just not getting it, and I feel like they need to get it at least that first time, or even if it's a second time, do not feel like that's how it should be. Just go in your growth mindset and say, okay, you know what? I'm going to try pictures. I'm going to try gestures. I'm even going to ask education staff for help. Um, Another one would be, second one would be, I feel successful when I finish the whole lesson plan quickly. Again, you may ask, what's wrong with feeling successful? That's the point of, feeling great and having a growth mindset. Well, the growth part of that is you would say instead, I feel successful when I slow down so my student practices and remembers. Again, saying I feel successful when I finish the whole lesson plan quickly, that is a fixed mindset. Because again, you either get it or you don't. And you do not want to think like that. There is a possibility for you to do better. There is a possibility for you to try new things and different things. So do not feel like you are limited. Yeah, so those are just a few that I'm sharing. And you can go ahead, Sabrina.
And if you want to print out of this, we do have some that we can get to you. Just let us know. Okay.
All right. And so these are some quotes from Carol again from this book. So this is paraphrased. I couldn't find the actual quote. So it says, the mindset we give the most attention, energy, and focus to, sorry, I probably messed up there. Let me read that again. The mindset we give the most attention, energy, and focus to is the one that becomes stronger and shapes our behavior. And so, what I mean by that is, I want you to keep in mind that, there is a growth mindset, there is a fixed mindset. And unfortunately, we do have fixed mindset in certain areas of our lives, and we do have growth mindset in certain areas of our lives. I could have a fixed mindset about my personal family, right? But then I could have a really growth mindset about friendship, or I could have a growth mindset about the workplace. And
Mm-hmm.
so whatever you choose, I guess, say like in tutoring specifically, it's important to try to keep that growth mindset. If you feel yourself falling back into a fixed mindset, try to think of the growth mindset and ways you can help yourself and better yourself in that growth mindset. I think it takes me back to the quote that I saw by, I believe, Diana Ross when she said, we all have positive thoughts and negative thoughts, but it's to which you give the most attention to that becomes stronger. So if you're always thinking in the positive, you know, positive side of things, then you will become a positive person. But if you're always thinking negative, everything about your life will feel negative. You feel like nothing is really going anywhere. So, in other words, choose the growth mindset.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Another quote from Carol Dweck. People with a growth mindset are also constantly monitoring what's going on, but their internal monologue is not about judging themselves and others in this way. Certainly, they're sensitive to positive and negative information, but they're attuned to its implications for learning and constructive actions. What can I learn from this? How can I improve? How can I help my partner do this better? And I think that really goes back to the quote that you mentioned is how much energy you're giving to the good or the not the good or the bad, but the positive and the negative.
Correct.
And these are just some quotes about growth mindset. Be curious, not judgmental. What is the why? Taking on a challenge is like riding a horse. If you're comfortable while doing it, you're probably doing it wrong. So challenge yourself. You know what the happiest animal on earth is? It's a goldfish. You know why? It's got a 10-second memory. Be a goldfish. Don't hold on to the past. Every day is a new day. And these are some quotes from one of my favorite growth mindset shows, Ted Lasso. So if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. And then these are the two books on the topic. The first one is the one that you have, correct, Cecilia?
Yes, yes, it is.
Mhm. And then the second one is where I learned about growth mindset. And we have copies of these in the office. If you want to come down and take a look at them, let us know.
Mm-hmm.
If you want photocopies of something, let us know. We're around.
Mm-hmm. And
And
then go ahead, Sabrina.
looking for an activity to do with your student to get them in the right mindset. Here are 5 questions for better mindfulness.
So this would be, what is something that makes you feel powerful? How are you feeling in this very moment and why? How often do you make excuses about things, about what in particular? And what do I love about myself? And where is my happy place and why?
And
Yes.
these might not always work for your students. You can just kind of find shortened versions, or we can help you figure out some good questions for mindfulness.
Mm-hmm. Correct, correct, correct. All right.
And that is the end of our presentation.
Yes.
If you have questions, please feel free to reach out to Cecilia or myself. The front desk knows our numbers if you need to get a hold of us. Our emails are basically just our first names at cmc-cr.org.
Mm-hmm.
Just let us know. All
All
right.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.